And welcome everybody to the Scenic City Sports Podcast on this rainy August the 20th. Rusty and Scott joining you with special guest and longtime friend of the show, Hamilton County Athletic Director Tim James. Tim, welcome. It's always a pleasure to see you and hang out with you, and glad to have you here with us.
It's been a minute.
I was going to say, it has been a day or two.
We were talking today about the good old days of Stump on Sports late night and the relationship and everything that you guys and Stump have done all these years for high school athletics and sports. And, you know, just great to see the tradition continued even after his passing in 2018. So, like I said, appreciate everything you guys do.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. And it's when
it's
you look back on it, it's hard to think about the fact that it's been that long. You know, I mean, it seems like yesterday that we lost him. You know, it really sometimes, you know, I go long periods of time and I won't think about him, and then football season will start, a Cowboys game will come on, and I'll look to my phone because typically he and I would watch them. You know, his house, you know, and text back and forth through the whole game. What's Romo doing? That's horrible. You know, I'd get those, and I really miss him in times like that.
I remember my first home game as a head coach at East Ridge, and he came up to me. I'm Stump. I said, I know who you're, Stump.
You are.
And you know, Gus, that's been 2000, so that's been 25 years ago.
Oh my God.
Been a minute.
I was thinking the same thing. That East Ridge Red Bank game that we still think is one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it was so
I walked
much fun.
sidelines for 31 years, and that's as a player, as a coach, whatever. That's the most exciting football game I've ever been involved in. You know, even cheering on the Vols, but it was a high school ball game that had a big time air to it. About 10,000 people at a high school game. Yeah. Of course, it was Gerald White versus Gerald Riggs versus Charles White.
Yeah.
And, I always kid people and I say, we had a football game and a track meet broke out because we couldn't stop each other.
40-38. I'll never forget it. I just started working at the paper a few months earlier. I just started with Stump's show probably about 6-7 months before that, and didn't know what to expect. And then that game happened. I was like, oh, this is what we're going to be doing. Okay.
That was a lot of fun.
That'll work.
You know, it's always
fun. 2:30 on the air talking about it.
Like, over the years, all the contacts that we have made over the years of the sports community in the Chattanooga, North Georgia area, and the one thing that you can say about all the people that are in that community, both media, sideline, coaches, all of it, are some of the most fun to be around people there are. And it's just old friendships, and whenever you see somebody, there's no, it's just immediately you just pick right back up, you just chit-chat, have a good time, and I just love the way that has always been.
I think that's kind of the beauty of athletic competition
I
in general, whether it be football or basketball or track or field. I'm going to be your worst enemy one night out of the year or whatever, and we'll be best friends after
the rest
that.
of the time.
This new generation of coaches may be a little different, but
they hold a grudge a little more sometimes.
They
Well,
do.
I just saw there was I think it was Channel 12 did a piece on Coach Crisp over at Ringo, him being good friends with Coach Poston up at Dade. And of course, they just played each other, and he named off about 4 or 5 guys, and he's like, we all want to go, want to see everybody go 9-1.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely right. I want you to beat everybody on your schedule but me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. That's what
but like
do.
he said, coaching is kind of a lonely existence. He said not many people know what you're going through unless it's another coach. He said, and that's we have 5 or 6 guys. He said, we talk to, at least once a week just about not really football, just how you're handling life and stuff like that.
I think that's the part of the fraternity of coaching. It's you don't really. The old saying, until you walk a mile in my shoes, you don't know what it's like. Well, to be able to commiserate or celebrate or bounce ideals off one another is that's one of my greatest joys in my 35-year career in athletics, and just those relationships that developed over the years.
What's a mile in your shoes like now with the new job and new title?
It varies from day to day, but it's usually about 100 miles an hour.
I can see that.
I actually had a conversation with somebody today, and it was about 1:00, and I had filled 56 phone calls by before 1 o'clock this afternoon and returned probably 30 some odd emails. So it's a busy thing. Hamilton County, we're a large district. Basically have 38 between middle and high schools, 38 schools that participate in varsity athletics. So I have 38 ADs, and then under those 38 ADs is right at 1,000 coaches. So,
Wow.
when you start looking at 22 sports that the TSSAA, MSAA field, it adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's do the math on that one.
Right.
Just tell me what is a typical day like for the athletic director of Hamilton County? I know you lots of phone calls and emails, but
right. So there's kind of two components, maybe even three with my job. One is a compliance aspect of it. Make sure that all of our schools are, the coaches are doing their coaches training, and that they're making sure and getting their dues into TSSAA, and their coaches are following sportsmanship protocol.
The simple stuff like
kids have their physical.
Yeah.
That kind of comes in spurts. You'll have the fall spurt, and then you'll have the winter sport, and then when spring sports, that kind of repeats that cycle, and that's usually about a month of just 100 miles an hour, making sure everybody's got everything up to date. The other part is long-term development, like a strategic plan. One of our focuses right now is facility improvement.
Yeah.
Since I was fortunate to be appointed to this position, in the last 3 years, we've invested somewhere between $15 and $20 million in improvement in athletic facilities, and that's anything from replacing gym floors, new bleachers in gyms,
wrestling
mats, new turf fields, artificial turf fields, new tracks, track replacements, all the things that come along with it, new field houses at East Ridge and at Red Bank. So those are things that part of that strategic plan, and then getting out and garnering community support for these, and actually most of the money for our turf fields, if not 100% of it, has all come from outside private funds that have been solicited. So,
when that field went in at Howard, my wife works downtown. She works in the Talon building, so every day she takes that way around through there. And I just remember one day she was all of a sudden like, "Holy crap! There's like a new field out here." And she's like, "It's so bright and shiny."
It is, and I've always said this, and I've said this to my superintendent, my school board members. Athletics is the front porch of your school.
Of course.
It's the drive-by eye candy, and if everything looks good, then people assume that there's good things going on inside.
Oh, yeah.
So, and let's face it, we're in an era of competition with the passing of the vouchers in Tennessee. We're in the business of competition for the educational dollar, and make sure that we're keeping our kids that are not moving to North Georgia, or they're not going to the private school route. And I think facilities has a lot to do with that. Quality of coaching and facilities.
It can't hurt.
Oh, absolutely not. It's I think I spent some time in Catoosa County. You guys are very, very fortunate with the concept of the E-Splash being available in Georgia. We don't have that.
It is definitely a plus for us. I mean, it built us a 800 and something seat theater, here just a couple of years ago that we're reaping the benefit of now. And so we definitely are happy to have it.
Right. And we're looking for ways to improve things. This year was a tight budget year for us, but we're still offering the same level of service that we did, and we're getting after it.
Well, if people out there realize, parents do, but sometimes I don't think the people out in the community realize how important athletics are overall, because there's a lot of kids, speaking as an educator now, not as a coach, there's a lot of kids that the whole reason they walk in that door every day is because they see that as a way to better themselves out of the life that they're in at the moment, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever. Well, that's a big thing.
The statistics out there are pretty stunning when it looks at kids who participate, not just athletics, but extracurriculars, whether it's band or course or whatever. They're going to generally score 3 to 4 points higher on their ACT. They're going to have on a 0.3 average higher GPA. You got lower dropout rate, lower discipline rates, higher graduation rates. So the advantages of it's a belonging thing. It gives the kids the opportunity to belong to something other than themselves or their family. It also helps them develop. You start looking at the Fortune 500 CEOs, and in particular, he focused on the women's CEOs. Out of the, I think, 59 of the Fortune 500 are women CEOs. 57 of them were collegiate athletes, and and when they surveyed the Fortune 500 top 100 CEOs, would you prefer to have somebody who participated in athletics or don't? They said 100%. We would prefer to hire somebody that, because look, they understand commitment to something bigger than themselves. They understand time management. That they understand knowing what your role is,
being part of a team,
and that's kind of one of the things that I guess from when I started to where we're at now, especially with the new transfer rules and things like that. I growing up, I was partial. I thought the school I went to was the best school there was. I didn't realize that maybe it might not have been at the time, but we all thought it was. There was that sense of community pride and sense of belonging. It was the focal point on for not just Friday nights, but anytime there was a basketball game or a Sadie Hawkins dance or a play.
Everybody was going to be there.
Everybody was going to be there. And so that, I guess that's the biggest shift that I've seen.
Yeah, to me that's what's lost in the modern era, because it's, and I don't know if it's the NIL at the college level and then almost coming down to the high school level as well, but it's that you just don't have that as much as you used to. The loyalty is not where it used to be.
Well, I'm a little older than you guys, but you were raised in Fort Oglethorpe, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was there to do in Fort Oglethorpe when you were in high school?
What, the skating rink,
Shaky's Pizza.
Yeah, we had we was Pizza Inn after we got there.
Pizza Inn. There was a Godfather's.
You had the bowling alley up on Lafayette Road, and you had
bowling alley, skating rink,
and that was.
Or you went to Chattanooga and rode up and down Brainerd.
That's how you cruised Brainerd.
That was it.
But you think about everything that's available to these kids.
Oh
now.
Yeah.
There weren't a whole lot of employment opportunities back in the day. A lot of kids did not go to school and work then because they're just the jobs weren't there. Well, there's more jobs than kids now out there for teenage kids. So we're in a market. We're competing, and it's all this, and then of course you've got the social media. Cell phone addiction of this generation. I have daughters, and I'm like, that's you might be addicted to that.
I can expound on that for a long time. Having kids of my own, and then watching kids in my classroom every day that you can watch them it's like their hands twitch. They feel that phantom vibration in their pocket.
I might say, I saw there was a teacher. I don't even recall the specifics of it, but the teacher said, okay, everybody turn your phone on. And they got a class monitor come up to the front of the board, and they put like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and they made a tally every time somebody's phone went off or text and it was 700 and something
in like 10 minutes or something.
In 10 minutes. So I don't know that we're going to solve that. It's just
I told somebody today, I feel like we always seem to right the ship at some point or another. We might let some things get a little too far out there, but eventually we will start to right the ship. And I feel like now all of a sudden, we've got in Georgia now, or in Catoosa, we've got K through 8 is no cell phones. I know Bradley County is trying it right now, and that might be the beginnings of kind of reining some of that back in. But I don't know.
Well, as you know, my dad was a career coach and educator, and I can remember my first year teaching was in 1990. Well, you were probably in third grade.
No, I was in 1990. I was a sophomore. He was a senior.
And
that was a junior. You were a freshman.
Having a conversation with my dad, and I was like, I can't believe it's going this way. And he said, you just give it time. He said, in your career, if you stay in education, you'll see about 4 or 5 pendulum swings. It's going to go here and it'll swing back the other way. So I think we're in that transition period right now that the pendulum is kind of swinging back the other way. And I think that's a good thing.
I do too.
As a teacher and a coach and as a parent.
The AI scares me more than any of the cell phone stuff, anything like that. The AI scares me more so than any of that.
You know, the scary thing about it is that these kids know more about it than we do.
Oh, they do. They know a whole lot more.
Some of these deep fakes and stuff
Yeah.
that are, you know, there was actually a teacher, I think it was last year in Virginia, that I was an assistant principal, that somebody did a deep AI fake on him, and he was fired for inappropriate conduct, right?
Yeah.
Well, he lawyered up, and they brought in a forensics, not like a physical, but a electronic.
Like computer forensics guy.
And they proved that it was a deep fake.
Yeah.
And the kid,
One of our best friends one of our best friends from high school. That's what he does for a living. He works for a law firm in Atlanta, and he's their computer forensics guys when they've had terrible things happen on the internet and stuff like that. He's the one the family's hired to go in and he can pull somebody's phone. He can pull text messages off somebody's phone that was sent years ago.
Wow.
And that's where it's heading, and that part is part's terrifying.
Good thing about technology, though, in my career, I got to see the advent of Huddle.
Oh yeah,
and that,
Huddle's great.
You know, as a young coach, it was always my job
to
on
go get
Saturday
film.
morning after being out at the field house till 2:00 in the morning washing clothes. Go down to, especially when I came to Georgia, and we were like playing Pickens County and River Ridge and people like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I got to make this. And you know, Chatsworth was the halfway point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or Ellijay.
Yeah.
But you know, now it's a push of a button. You swap the film. It's convenient. It's easy to break down film.
Yeah.
I do miss that relationship development with the other coach that's suffering to have to meet you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how a lot of my good relation, you know, meet somebody halfway and have breakfast with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, talk about how horrible you are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Take it easy on us and pour our mouth each other. And
I remember when cell phones first started to get bigger, and they added video to them. And I remember Greg Payne was coaching at McCallie at the time, and I remember it was not long after I got sick back,
Right.
Almost 12 years ago now. And me and Greg went to lunch one day, and he said, "You know how much I love these phones for one reason." I said, "What is that?" He said, "I'm at practice the other day," and he tells me this story about he was working with this particular kid, and he was getting on him about the way the kid was throwing, and the kid's like, "I ain't doing that," and he waited till the next time they were hitting fungo, and he sat there and recorded, and he went over and he said, "I've been telling you not to do this," and the kid was like, "I didn't do that, coach," and he goes, "Psh," and shows it to him and goes, no, you did. Right here you did,
You know, the technology now, and especially most high schools, but at every collegiate, every practice is filmed. There's as much time spent in the classroom now as there is on the practice field.
Oh yeah.
And the old days of water makes you weak, and you're going to be in the best shape of it.
Oh,
There's a guy out there. He's like, during a football game, you're going to actually go full speed for about 5 minutes if you add in 30-second bursts. If you add up, the average football play lasts like 9 points.
I was going to say maybe
11 seconds.
11, 12 seconds.
So he's like conditioning's overrated, all that, but he's pushing more toward weight room type of exercise and flexibility.
Yeah, as opposed to.
I was about to say, now we got high school staffs that have their own video video coordinators and everything else, and there may be 10, 12 people on that each night trying to kids and adults, everybody trying to get the plays and get them over there so we can put them on the big screens, because when we change over after a punt, you got 3 downs to take a look at it.
Sideline, you got the TV set up on the sideline. And so, like you said, when the kid said, "I didn't do that," and you said, "Yeah,
you most certainly did."
Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm.
What would your dad have thought of the wet bubble?
We had one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if they had.
Yeah, it was homemade.
Oh.
Yeah, the thing never worked.
Oh.
I can tell you that. He would go over and he would like hold his clipboard over it and check it, so the direct light didn't.
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
But it was actually it was a homemade contraption. I think that's probably in the mid '70s, late '70s when you started seeing a lot of the changes.
Mm-hmm.
In athletics, getting away from the water makes you weak.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
It's hot, and there was. I don't ever remember not having a practice because it was hot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember my dad was kind of he was a tinkerer, right? So he had been to coaching clinic somewhere and saw that University of Florida, their chemistry department invented Gatorade.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For hydration of athletes, and they actually tracked their performance, and they had a study that came out. We're performing at this percentage versus where we were before, and that kind of started it. So it was hard to get, and it was very expensive.
Oh yeah.
So my dad and Jim Steele, I don't know if you remember Coach Steele or not, they decided that they could make their own, and so. The concoction was purple Kool-Aid, no Jim Jones references, sugar and salt, and they would mix this up, and it
close.
I was gonna say
it was, but at the end of the day, it tasted just like it sounded.
I was gonna say yeah.
And the gnats, when they would fly and fall in it, they would die instantly.
Get you a little extra protein in there.
So you get those little cup. You have to grit your teeth, and we affectionately
smooth and crunchy version.
Smooth and crunchy Gatorade.
We called it bug juice.
That's
one
funny.
of our classes had I think their 30th reunion, and somebody decided it would be a good idea
to make some bug juice.
They made some bug juice and made some sauce burgers from the burger house.
Scott has that recipe.
I think I have the recipe.
I will wrestle you for it
at
Scott.
the house.
Okay.
I will let you in on before you leave.
You meet me down here at, at our guy, the real nature boy down here.
Paul Lee.
Yep. Paul Lee, and you and I will get after it for the Battle of the Burger House recipe.
Our weather around here, it's really weird. Like, I started really paying attention to it, obviously, when I started coaching the golf team, because I had to pay attention to it every day because I was going to have kids out there in it and stuff. And I remember when we were kids, I remember going to practices and stuff and it being hot. But I don't remember the humidity being what it is now. And I may be wrong. It may have been the exact same, but there have been days in the last few years that we've been out there and I thought, good Lord,
So you asked me what my average day looked like as an AD. What does your average day as a kid look like? Being raised here in Fort Overthorpe.
Oh Lord,
during the summer, what'd your mom do?
Oh my God, we
went outside about 7:30, 8 o'clock. We came back in about 2, and like I said,
out the door by 9 o'clock.
Did y'all have air conditioning?
No.
Okay,
God, no.
So that's
we're softer now.
I don't want to say we're softer. I mean, our kids they're bigger, faster, stronger. Than they were back when we were kids. But at the end of the day, our moms ran us out of the house. We played all day. We drank from a water hose.
Oh, yeah.
We came in, if we were lucky, for lunch, and they had to be home when the street lights. I know that's
came on.
cliche,
But it's the truth.
But what that did is that made us accustomed to being outside.
That's true.
And I can make that. I can make that because 3 years ago when I was coaching, the heat didn't really bother me that much.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if I get outside, because I'm an office poke, and I try to get outside in really hot weather and work, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I play vintage baseball. We play 1864 barehanded, and we have like long sleeve shirts, long pants, bow tie. It was not wool, it's cotton, but it might as well be. And I go out, we got a game Saturday. I've been out every day this week walking 2 or 3 miles in the heat of the day, the hottest part I can get, because I know I got to go out there and play twice Saturday, and I want to get used to it. And the heat really doesn't bother me when we play because I'm used to it. But kids these days, they'll sit inside, play on the phone, watch TV, video games.
They don't do it.
And they aren't out there playing.
Stuff we did.
And then they get out there, and
we rode bicycles
they're in
for
trouble.
hours when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't raised too far from here. I was raised over on Greens Lake Road.
Yeah.
That's
and,
just about where I was born.
And it was not uncommon. There was a skate park right over here on Cloud Springs Road.
Remember that?
And it was not uncommon for, hey, let's go to the skate park
and ride all the way over.
And ride the skateboard. Ride our bikes to Lake Winnie or whatever. And that was just part of growing up.
Yep.
So I grew up on Greens Lake Circle, so I know exactly where you're talking
I've
about.
I've always said that, like I've had people say, well, weren't your parents worried about you? And I'm like, I'm sure our parents were just as worried about us then as we are ours now. But at the same time, our parents didn't have a 24-hour news cycle that told them every horrible thing that happened. So it was a little bit different time. We didn't know.
And we knew other people's parents were going to take care of us too.
Well, and everybody had that rule that, hey, listen, you get out of line and so-and-so's parents can whack you, so don't do it.
Yeah.
I can testify that usually I was not good at getting away with things. and I was honest to a fault. So if you asked me, I did something.
Yeah.
But it when I did something out in the community, it usually got home before
you did.
You know, and it's I think that's just kind of the difference in the era that we grew up in and the era these kids are growing up in. So, again, though, as far as the weight training and the physical size and nutrition that these kids have had, I mean, they're bigger, faster, and stronger.
Oh yeah.
Now, I also say I think they're more prone to injury because they don't have that bone density and that ligament density from hard play as a kid. Jump playing in the ditch. Playing Evil Knievel and jumping.
Having those
around.
minor childhood injuries, you know, where you fell off your bike, you fell off your skateboard, you get, you know,
But
No,
you know,
I agree with that.
physiology it proves that physical play builds bone density and ligament strength.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we see more of those type of injuries today than we maybe did 20 years ago, or we just limped it off and played anyway.
Well, and the kids are just, you know, you said bigger, faster, stronger. They're just, I mean, just kids in general are just, you know, I teach history, so today I give some kids a review exercise, and somebody was looking up Ponce de Leon's, who they looked up. Well, apparently he was like 5'1" tall, and they just, well, he was only 5'1". I'm like, yeah, that was kind of common back then.
5'1", 5'3".
Yeah, you know, I said, and they were like, well, how big was George Washington? I was like, well, he was 6 foot tall, but he was like a giant.
So,
and they were like, oh my God, you know, they were that small, and I'm like, yeah. But
I'm a Civil War buff, and you know the average height of a Civil War soldier, Union was about 5'6" inches tall. So, you know,
and what, about 160, 170 pounds?
About 140 pounds.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just with the advances in nutrition, also processed food, also the things that we're maybe putting in food,
to
as
keep
far
it
as
antibiotics,
you know, chicken that produce chicken breasts the size of turkey.
It's them yellow milk cartons, man.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
It's them yellow. I've been saying that for years. Them yellow Mayfield milk cartons.
But it's definitely, you know, the game has changed too.
Yeah.
You know, you used to go watch a football game and it can be played on this table, and now, you know, it's spread all over the place.
3 yards. In the
I remember, you know, my parents went to Rossville, and I poured over those yearbooks, you know, 59, 60, 61, 62. I think the biggest kid they ever had weighed 220, and there was only like one of them. Another kid weighed 200, and that was about it. I mean, everybody else 190 was
how big
huge.
was Stump when he played? I mean, you know, Stump was a heck of a football player back then.
What was it? He had the one dude ahead of him at 160.
Well, the rest was 155.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was about 1160 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
you know, we don't play it at the division,
Carson Newman.
NIA level. You know, it's when I was at UTC my freshman year, I think we had one cat over that was right at 300 pounds. Our offensive line probably averaged about 250, 255 across the front. I was the runt of the litter, so at 217, you know, and but that's it's definitely changed now.
Oh, yeah.
I went down and watched McCallie in the Jamboree. I guess this last Friday, and they were scrimmaging Tyner, and these large group of human beings came walking by me, and I'm like, holy moly, these are high school kids. They're some of them still 15 years old.
Looked like they dropped the wife and kids off before they got on the bus.
Well, I remember Stump and I went to Media Day at Tennessee. This was Eric Berry's sophomore year, because we put him on the cover of the magazine, and we had given it to him. It was after his freshman year. And I'm interviewing Jacques McClendon. Never forget it.
Oh, my God.
And Jacques was 6'3", 325. Played offensive line at Tennessee. And I'm interviewing him, and I'm already kind of doing this anyway. And, of course, one offensive lineman sees another offensive lineman getting interviewed. They're going to come over and see what's going on. They're going to pick at him and stuff like that. By the time we got done, Jacques was the smallest offensive lineman there. And it was by like a head and a half taller and 50 or 60 pounds. And I'm like, these kids are like 20, 21 years old. And I'm literally like trying to hold a microphone up here.
I think they were checking you for cookies.
I always remember that first time.
One of them was 6'9", 380.
Well, you remember Tim Daniels?
I think so.
Yeah.
Tim Daniels?
Yeah.
I've got and look, I love Tim Daniels to death. He was just one. He's an example of a great human being.
Oh, yeah.
That contributed a lot to the sport. Really miss him, but you know, East Ridge, we've got a really high crown on our field, and I was standing right. He was standing right at the 50-yard line on the ER, and I guess I was about maybe a foot away from him, and it looks like he is here, and my head is at his belt. And I was like, holy cow.
I remember the first year that we did the All-Star football game. And we go down to Griffin's Footlong Hot Dogs because they were still over there on Frazier. And all the players could come down there and have dinner. And the Georgia players come walking in, and we're all sitting in there. And I remember Dusty Wright was the quarterback. He was Ridgeland's quarterback, and he was, what was he, Scott, about 5'9", 5'10", maybe weighed 150. And Greg Green Mile Smith come walking in the door, all 6 foot, 4 or 5 of him, 300 something pounds. And somebody said, "Hey, Dusty, he's going to be running after you tomorrow night." And just watching those kids look up at him, and thinking, this is the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life. And now that's commonplace.
I'd like to give a shout out to Dusty Wright.
Yeah.
Dusty coached for me over at East
Oh, yeah.
for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Great guy, man. I think he's still at Rossville Middle. Maybe?
I was going to say, I think he is. Well, I mean, we've had some, you look over the years at some of the guys that we've seen. I mean, Lord, we've got Courtney now. Where's he at? He's in Cincinnati still. And of course, he's been all over the place over the years. But yeah, I mean, there's been some phenomenal coaching talent in all phases of sports, not just in football. We've had so many great coaches in the area the last Scott and I started doing this. Scott started in 2000, I started in 2001, and what we've watched, we got into a big conversation one night, me and Scott and Rob, about who was the best individual player that you'd ever seen on the field in that stretch. And I was lucky enough, and Scott was too, we saw Randall Cobb play, that went on and played for the Packers and the Cowboys. We saw him play for Alcoa one night against Tyner, and that's just speed and stuff that you're not ready to see. You're just like, oh my God, that's superhuman.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we went on air. I'm kind of partial. The best overall football player I've ever seen come out of the Chattanooga area was a guy named Rodney Ballard. I think he's about an 84 graduate out of East Ridge, signed with Tennessee. He was Cobb's backup running back coming out of spring practice as a true freshman. It didn't work out for him up there, but he just passed away this week and had his funeral. So they're going to do a little tribute to him this Friday over at East Ridge.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Rodney was.
He was special.
God, he was good.
I think he had against Cumberland County one night in 3 quarters. That my dad pulled him because he had like 562 all-purpose yards.
Oh my God!
Before the end of the third quarter, and it was like 50-7. It was bad, but he was just special. The best player I've ever seen him play at Chattanooga, though, was at Chamberlain Field. I think it was one of the last ball games at Chamberlain Field. Alcorn State came in here and played UTC.
I remember it.
And Steve McNair was their quarterback. And honest fellas, it looked like a high school kid playing against Pee Wee kids.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he just he was huge, man. But he did whatever he wanted that day against the Mocs.
Yeah.
It was a sad day for the Mocs, but I was glad I got to see that exhibition of football.
Oh Lord,
What other projects we got going on right now in the county? Anything coming down the pipe?
So we're finishing up turf fields at East Hamilton and at Signal Mountain. New track is being finished at Ooltewah. Signal Mountain has a resurface on their track going on. East Ridge just got a new track. Our goal is to turf all fields in Hamilton County schools over the next 5 years. We've had some budget humps along the way, but hopefully we can see that to fruition.
Yeah.
In the long run, how much money does that save overall? Because I've heard a lot of people banning about this and that, and I mean, it's got to save. It's got to save money.
It does. But here's kind of the confusing thing about when you look at a natural grass field and you start adding up the cost of the water, the cost of the fertilization, the weed killing, the the mowers that you have
Yeah.
to have
Oh, yeah.
to mow turf,
The person to mow it.
the maintenance on that mower, the lifespan of that mower,
Yep.
and the person, and so you take that. That's one component. The other component is hours of play. So how many times has LFO rec been canceled out on a Saturday morning
Oh, yeah.
because the field at Lakeview Fort Oglethorpe was too wet?
Mm-hmm.
So you all of a sudden you're extending your playing hours. You actually increase your potential for revenue because you can rent your facilities out. Everybody wants to rent the turf field from you. So it's not like if you up, I said you save $2 million over the course of 10 years. It's not that easy. It's more of a moving target depending on what you do.
But
now,
the potential's there.
But what the
Yeah.
potential is. So, and they've got about a 10-year lifespan, so you've got to have a plan to replace those turf fields. But what it does, it saves our coaches, and it gives them time to coach, and to mold kids and work with kids as opposed to spending. I wish I had a nickel for every hour I spent mowing fields, and spending time away from my children, my own children, that I've had. So it's there's some intrinsic value to it. There's some financial value to it. Everybody's going to start throwing that. Well, it causes cancer. No, not really. There's no discernible data that shows that. Well, there's more injuries. No, there's no.
Not on this new turf.
And one of the key points on that is if there is, and the NFL did a study, okay, and there is a minuscule difference in the lower injuries, mainly ankles, on artificial turf than turf, but it's like 2 more per 10,000 instances. It's not astronomical. But one of the things that they're taking into account is a well-maintained turf field.
Yeah.
So everybody goes, well, why does Tennessee and Alabama not? Well, they got a crew of 40 people, and it gets played on 5 times a year.
Yeah.
And it's a well-maintained. A lot of our fields get so much play, they become like this. So they would not qualify under industry standards to be considered a well-maintained field.
And especially in Tennessee, because you're also some of them playing girls soccer out there too at the same time the football games are going on. I know in Georgia it goes back in the spring, but
we've got lacrosse, you've got girls flag football, you've got boys and girls soccer. So I mean our football fields
they're multi-purpose.
How's the participation levels been for the girls flag football? Because I know it's taken off in Georgia too. We've got 3 or 4 teams just here locally that are starting to play. And more just keeps adding every year.
So last year was our first year in Hamilton County. We had 12 schools compete. Most average a roster between 15 and 20 girls. We enjoyed a grant from NFL Play and the Tennessee Titans to help the upstart cost. The TWSAA has now made it a state championship sport, so it is a full-blown sport. They moved it to the spring, though. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping we could keep it in the fall because I really like the way Georgia does the championship in the dome. I watched last year play. But Keatron or someone. I like some of the best female athletes I've seen.
Oh, some of those girls are phenomenal.
Yep. And
what if you play it in the fall? The only athletes in the building that you're really out is you're not going to be able to pick from the softball players and the volleyball players. That opens everything else up.
So we're opposite. Softball is in the
that's
spring.
right. Yeah.
Because Georgia runs into some of that. Because some of the girls that want to play are also playing volleyball. They're also playing softball, and they have to wait till their season's over.
And I might be mistaken, but I kind of think volleyball's a bigger sport in Tennessee than in Georgia. It has been a heavy, at least the Chattanooga area. There's a deep-seated tradition in the Chattanooga area with Catherine Neely and
a lot of travel teams too,
and Susan Thurman, and the select volleyball craze that we see. So again, I'm not saying that it's not.
No.
Just if you compare state to state,
they had much bigger head start because Georgia, I think first team was LFO originally about 1989. And we've had some good teams. Now it seems like Georgia's really getting the ball rolling on the volleyball, and a lot of girls are playing club level and stuff like that, almost to the detriment of basketball because all the tall girls now are playing basketball, although AAU is starting to make a comeback around here as far as girls sports go. But volleyball's really taking off.
We see and again, you're going to see some differences just as far as participation numbers, it can vary from community to community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're looking at, I guess, Saudi Daisy High School. They're probably carrying 95 kids on their roster this year in football.
Goodness.
Whereas, you know, we've got Howard maybe in the 20s, Eastridge, low 30s. You know, those. Oh, and you go out to East Hamilton, you're going to be up to 75, 80 kids.
Yeah.
So if you get that variation and variance in between participation numbers just from school to school, you know, you go to Howard, they'll have 140 kids try out for soccer. You know, so they'll carry a lot of kids on the roster. Wow. So demographics has something to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
It does seem like the last few years, it does seem like that a lot of you know, I hate to call them auxiliary sports, but you know, not the big four.
Right.
You know, your golf, your tennis, your track, a lot of those. The participation has been a lot higher to me the last few years than it was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I had 2 years ago, I had 22 kids come out to try out for golf. You know, I mean, on a given year, I'm lucky if I can, you know, I got 7 boys and 5 or 6 girls, but you know, it just seems like, I think you're getting, like you had talked about with athletics being that front porch, I think you're just getting a lot more kids that are trying to, you know what, before I graduate, I want to do something. I want to be a part of something. I want one of those letters. I want one of those jackets. I want to be a part of it. So I
my
definitely
friend's
think you're
doing it.
getting
And
that.
I
Yeah, my
think-
friend's doing it. They said, you know, I could do it too. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. You know, I think we're also seeing more specialization.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it is whether you have access to be able to afford the select travel ball team, or you know, to wrestle year round, or to play golf year round, or so that specialization of sports. I kind of mixed emotions on that. I love the era of the 3-sport athlete.
Yep.
You know, hey, you played football during football, and you either went from there and played basketball or wrestled, and then from there you went and you played baseball or you ran track. You know, but there's the time demands that we as coaches are putting on these kids has pretty much made that a. You'll see some 2-sport kids, but you're not seeing.
No, three's a whole lot harder, just because of, you know, basketball is the hard one in that equation, because if they play basketball and they play another sport, they're either going to be late getting into basketball or they're going to be late getting into the spring sport, because it's the way it starts as early as it does now and overlaps through the holidays and all. It does, because I have a couple of my golfers play basketball, and I'm waiting on them.
We're doing everything year round now too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
you're right.
When we were kids, school was out. You went and you were a kid for the summer.
Yep.
Your coach may say, "Hey, the weight room will be open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you get a chance, stop by."
Rec league baseball lasted a month back in those days.
Yeah. So you know, it's but anyway, we've kind of been nostalgic. But moving forward, I mean, I think athletics is more important now.
Oh yeah.
Than it has ever been in our nation's history. Just simply because, and this is going to sound horrible, but that's the only family some of these kids have. That's the only role model that some of these kids have. We've got a large population of kids being raised by grandparents and or have absentee parents that you know, sometimes a coach is the only mom or dad that they have, and that's okay. That's a
take that mantle proudly.
That's a role that for many years I've been out on the field many Friday senior nights as standing in for mom and dad who were not in the picture or couldn't attend for other reasons. But you know, that's I just encourage the young coaches out there, you know, just love these kids up and be there for them.
And, embrace it. Because you never know.
You have a bigger impact than you will ever.
You have a much larger.
Ever know.
Yep.
And that's a double-edged sword. So you need to do it right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Coach, thank you for coming on with us. We always enjoy spending time with you. It's been too long. You
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
get back a whole lot quicker next time around.
I agree, gentlemen. I appreciate you having me.
Well,
thank you very much.
we always enjoy having you
Thank you,
here.
Scott.
Good to see you.
Folks, that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate you tuning in to Scenic City Sports. Obviously, football is cranking up right now. We will look for the scoreboard on Friday night. We'll post it typically around 11-ish, depending on when everything starts to end. But we appreciate you guys being on with us, and we will see you again next week.